Hello, my name is Angela Carmen. Today is October 8th, 2017, and I'm going to be going over the axial and appendicular skeleton with my friend here. Say hello. So I'll be going over the anterior, which is going to be the front part of the skeleton, the posterior, which is the back part of the skeleton, and then the lateral, which is going to be the side. So if you come closer, we'll get a better look at these bones and their positions on the skeleton here. So we are going to first start with the skull, and we're going to start with the anterior skull. So we'll start up here. This is going to be the frontal bone. Here we have the nasal bone, and this bone in between that you see is the vomer bone. Then we have the lacrimal, which is going to be this bone very close to like the tear duct area, the very inner eye. And just outside of that is the ethmoid bone. And then we have the maxilla, which is above the teeth here. And we have the mandible, which is down here, the jaw area. And we have the zygomatic, which is this cheekbone. And the sphenoid bone, which is going to be towards the middle of the eye area here. And that's going to be our anterior skull. So now I'm going to move over to the back, and we will cover the posterior skull. Ooh. So the posterior skull, if you get a closer look, you can kind of see the separations of the bones there. So this top area, this part of the bone, this is the parietal, and here, this back area, is the occipital. And then if to the side here, we have the temporal. And if you look here, you could see the mandible, which is that jawbone again. You can see it from the back there. And that covers our posterior skull. And now we're going to move to the lateral skull. So I'm going to move my buddy to the side here so that we can get a side view. So again, we have the parietal bone here that you can see. And then you can get a better view of the temporal bone, which is right about there. And then the frontal bone here towards the front of the skeleton. The mandible, a side view of the jawbone. The zygomatic, which is that cheekbone. The occipital, which is the back of the head, the back of the skull. And then the maxilla, again, above the teeth there. You can see the tip here, which is going to be the nasal bone. And a side view of that inner eye, which is the lacrimal, right outside of that, which is the ethmoid. And that covers our lateral skull. So now we're going to take a look on top so that we can look at our inferior skull. So we'll open this up, and this is the front of our skull here. So this is going to be the frontal. The ethmoid bone is right about here. The sphenoid bone. The temporal bone off to the side. Occipital bone is going to cover like where this dent is. And then the parietal bone, which is this back area. Okay. So now we are going to move to the vertebral column. So let's come on over here. So the vertebral column starts up here. So the top 7 there in the vertebral column. Well, first we'll start at this very top bone. It's going to be the atlas. And then the second one down here is the axis. The cervical vertebrae covers the top 7 here. The following 12 are the thoracic vertebrae. And then the last 5 are the lumbar vertebrae. This area here is the sacrum. And this very tail end here at the bottom is the coccyx. And that covers our vertebral column. So now we're going to go over the thoracic cage. So I'm going to move my friend around here. Okay. So this bone here is the body of the sternum. And on top of that, we have the manubrium of the sternum. These first 7 ribs are going to be our true ribs. And the bottom 3 are what are known as our false ribs. And then these ribs down here that are not connected to the sternum is what we call the floating ribs. That covers the thoracic cage. So now we're going to move into the appendicular skeleton. So I'm going to go over the pectoral girdle and upper limbs. So here, this curved bone is going to be our clavicle. This is the humerus. And then this is the radius, which is thumb side. And this inner bone is the ulna. You can see the scapula from the front, which is like the shoulder blade, right over here. And now we're going to move into the hand and wrist. So there's a lot of tiny bones, if you get a closer look, in the hand here. So if you look at all these bones, these down here at the bottom are what we call the phalanges. These up here are the metacarpals, these bones here. And then we also have, if you look closely at these two bones, excuse me, they're the sesamoid bones. And then we have the scaphoid, trapezoid, and trapezium, which are the 3 here. So the scaphoid is this bigger one, and then the next one is the trapezoid, and then the trapezium is going to be this one here. The lunate is this bigger bone here in the center, close to the wrist. Then we have the triquetum bone here, the pisiform, which is next down, the capitate, which is more center, and then the hamate, which is like above this pinky area here. And then again, these are the metacarpals and the phalanges. So that covers all the bones here in the hand. Now we're going to move to the pelvic girdle and the lower limbs. So this bone here is going to be the ilium, this area. And then this bone down here, this is the ischium. This has, below this like circular area. Then you have the pubic bone here in the center, the femur, and then down below we have the patella over the knee area, and then we have the fibula, which is this smaller bone here, and then the tibula, which is going to be this inner bone here. And now we're going to move down to the ankle and the foot. And again, if you get a closer look, there's all the little bones, much like the hand. So like the hand, we also have the phalanges, which are here, the tips of the toes. Then the metacarpals, same here. Metatarsals, excuse me. In the feet, it's metatarsals. This bigger bone here that I'm pointing at is the navicular. The talus bone is in here. The calcaneus is like the heel. The cuboid is this bone here. And then we have 3 bones in a row. So closest to the pinky is going to be the lateral cuneiform. Then in the center is the medial cuneiform. And here, towards the big toe end, is going to be the intermediate cuneiform. And that's going to cover our bones in the foot and ankle. So, thank you for watching my presentation and checking out the bones of the axial skeleton. Have a good day. Bye.